Welcome to Treasure Talks. Today I've got Anthony Ogogo, bronze medalist, Olympian, and now wrestler. Great to see you, mate. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, mate. Thanks for having me.
So the first thing straight away, as soon as I see you, because I've followed your boxing career, is the weight that you've got on you now. You've broadened out. You're much bigger than before. How much you weighing?
At the moment, I'm trying to do it in. So about 101 kilo at the moment. 101 kilos, 222, 23 pounds, and a stone. I think it's about 16 stone. 16, yeah, about around 16 stone mark. Which is nice. Do you know what? I mean, I've had a few people comment on Twitter. Not many, only a couple, saying like, "Oh, you're on the gear, you're on steroids," and I'm massively offended by that because you've seen. I've been quite outspoken in the past. I think boxers that like athletes, full stop, that cheat. Can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah, of course. Carry on.
Fucking disgraceful. I won't swear a
Yeah.
lot, but when I do swear, I mean it. Disgraceful because you take your it's like you're the worst thief in the world because you're not just stealing things you can get back, you're not stealing like items like if someone nicks my phone, yeah, it's gonna piss me off. But guess what? It's all backed up to the cloud. I'll get a new one on the insurance. No big deal. It's an inconvenience. But stealing somebody's dreams and ambitions, you can't get that back. That's horrible. And I feel sorry for these guys that came fourth in 100 meters, and then 8 years later, they found out that the Russian cheated or the American cheated, and now they get promoted to a bronze medal. Oh, that's not very good. They didn't get the chance to stand on the podium. They didn't get to come back to their hometown as an Olympic medalist. They missed out on opening supermarkets for 50 quid here or stuff like that. You can't get that back. So they're bad. And also, that's just sport in general. But in boxing, like you're hitting people as hard as you possibly can. So it becomes a criminal thing. So I was always very outspoken in that. And because of what I've done, I wouldn't do that. I put a lot of weight on because from 12 years old, my first fight was 12. From 12 years old, I've been making weight. Now, what teen like at school, all my friends would go to the chippy and get a chip butty every day at lunch. I couldn't. There's me sitting there with my vegetables, eating cold carrots, because I was making weight for my entire life. And then when I retired last year, I could finally just eat. And also I was making weight and I did very little strength and conditioning because I was a big middleweight. I couldn't afford to put any it was already really hard to make the middleweight limit. I couldn't afford to put any more weight on, so I did very little weights. I was a cardio machine. I was the fastest one. I could run the furthest. I could row. I could swim. And then when I retired, I had to just get a million miles away from boxing because it broke my heart. So I've always trained, and I need that discipline to do something. So I started lifting weights. Before I knew I was going to be good at wrestling, and I was lifting and eating a lot and lifting, and weight just went woof, and it's great. And then I got a bit carried away and got a bit of a derby. I got a bit fat. I had to get rid of that. But
yeah, I was thinking because it must be such a huge contrast from the boxing. Obviously, when you're fighting at 75 kilo, you're probably walking around in the 80s, weren't you? So it makes sense, like you say. Doesn't mean that you have to go on gear to get to that size.
yeah,
You're naturally a lot bigger than 75, and then you've changed your training to it. So
yeah, and it was like I was I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but I should have and could have and would have achieved some amazing things in boxing. Like I've done things that most guys could only dream about, but I should have went to the very top, like the Joshua level, because I know I had that ability. But more than that, like I was so professional. So when you're on the Great Britain squad, a little secret for the boxing fans, on the Great Britain squad, you've got I was a middleweight, 75 kilos as an amateur, and you had to stay within 5% of your fighting weight, which as a middleweight was 3.5 kilos. So every time I turned up for training on a Monday, we trained all week, home for weekends, back on a Monday. Every Monday, the first thing you do, you jump on the scales, and you had to be within 78.5 kilos. And it was hard because you want to have a few, you want to enjoy your weekend and stuff. But that's what it. Even as an amateur boxer, an Olympic boxer, I was so professional. And when I turned pro, I wanted that same same thing. So although I wasn't accountable to anybody else other than myself, as a pro, I was 72.5 kilos, 11 stone 6, 160 pounds is 72.5 kilograms. So I did the same thing. So my 5% was three and a bit kilos. So I wouldn't let myself go over 75 kilos. So now I'm walking around when I'm in training camp, and now I'm walking around at the weight that I struggle to make as an amateur. That's my walk around weight. So, and I think that led to, I think my ultra desire to be professional probably led to some of my injuries. Like I had some muscle tears and I torn ligaments because my body was just wanted nutrition. And I was training really, like nobody trained as hard as me. And I did it off a very low, like calorie diet. So I got a few injuries and it's done. I can't do anything about it. Obviously you learn moving forwards, but it's interesting to see what I could have done in boxing had I known this stuff now. But all you know is what you know, and I did tremendously well with the cards I was dealt in my whole career.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that 5% rule in GB because I'm always used to the pros talking about the weight they're usually at. Then you've got these MMA stars in the UFC, and they walk around at a hell of a much bigger weight than what they're actually making. So, but it must be nice to now be able to eat when you want.
That's the thing. I mean, it is for the best part of the year. It was, and I put some weight size on. Also got a bit chubby as well. I look at pictures of me from this time last year, thinking, "Oh my goodness!" And my wife, bless her, she said to me, and you can't, you're getting a bit,
That's a code.
and I thought she was joking. I'd giggle. She said, I was lying in bed one day, I yawned. She went, "Bloody hell, you've got gills!" I had the bitch's gills in my back. And she was used to me. She used to call me when I was boxing. She's the most loveliest girl in the world. I'm not digging her out. But when I was boxing, I'd look like a Skeletor because I was so drawn and so cut, and my eyes were so sunken. And then I've gone from one extreme to the other. But what was I going to say? I was going to say something. Oh yeah, but again, being this professional man that I am, I'm now doing a whole new career, and I want to give it my best shot. I've gone from barely eating and training really hard to training really hard, although different training, and eating every 3 hours. So it's a chore again. It's a ball ache. Like, I don't want to eat all the time. I've got my lunch here, which I'm postponing eating until I finish with you. I've got some stuff there.
What's in there then? What have you got now?
I'm in a hotel at the moment, and these aren't my curtains, by the way. They're ugly curtains. They aren't my curtains. I'm trying to make that point. I'm in the hotel, but turkey and bacon roll wrap thing.
Nice.
Healthiest thing had, but just to get the extra calories in, the biggest, fattest chocolate chip cookie I could find.
What?
So I'll get on that. Afterwards. That'd be good.
Yeah, you just mentioned as well a little bit about what you did achieve in boxing. Obviously, you got bronze at the Olympics in the 2012, and I remember watching you from there and watching you in the national ABAs. It opened my eyes up to the amateur game, and I really got into that more than probably the pros.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I watched you come up and win the bronze as well in the 2012, and it was horrible to see what happened in the pro game and having to retire early, and obviously you registered blind just before retiring, which we'll get on to. But yeah, do you have any regrets on the pro career or?
Yeah. It's an interesting word, regrets.
Yeah.
I regret how it ended, but I did everything to the best of my ability. That just was the way it was going to be. I had the injury I suffered in my eye was a bad injury, but it was treatable. But the doctor I saw, they diagnosed in a particular way, done a particular procedure. It was now retrospectively the wrong thing to do, but at the time, again, I'm always do things to the nth degree. Like nothing is more important than my career when I was boxing, and that's why I had 9 operations. When I was told after 2, like call it a day. I carried on for the best part of 3 years and had 9. I saw 10 doctors, and before my first procedure, most time you see one, they get second opinion. I got 9 second opinions. And each doctor I saw, I said, if I don't choose you to do this surgery, I've seen all these different people, who would you recommend? And the majority of them said this consultant that I went to had surgery in the end. And even though I didn't get a great feeling from this consultant, everyone said this person, the general consensus was this person was the best consultant in the world, at the best hospital in the world for eyes. I'd be silly not to. And I went with all the evidence. You mean you'd have been a lunatic not to do that? Because,
Of course.
and unfortunately, this person, asked different people. I say messed me up, done the wrong thing, didn't do a particular test, which meant I had the wrong surgery. But I can't really say much more because I'll get in legal trouble. So yeah, it was just a nightmare, really. It was a massive nightmare, and that's really unfortunate. But I maintain I did everything in my power to, every step along the way. Like I had a really unconventional training setup at the time when I first turned pro. And looking back now, I should never have been in that situation. But I was a bit young, a bit naive, and I believed in people that told me that, it'll be like this for a certain amount of time. After this period, then we'll do this. And I was like, okay. And I hung on to that belief. And, I should have been a bit more assertive and said, no, this is the way it's got to be. This is my career. Like, as a boxer, you get one career. And I trained with Virgil Hunter in America. I went over there a couple of times to train with him. And I regret this. It's the one thing I regret probably in my life, but definitely my professional career in terms of since I've been an adult. I trained with Virgil in 2014, and Andre Ward was coming to the end of his career, and he had a couple of young guys. And he said to me, I was there for 2.5 weeks. We had a great training camp. I had Amir Khan at the time. He said, I want you to stay here and train with me. He said, you're going to be the last person I take on. I was 24, maybe 25. Yeah. He said, I've got the best part of 10 years left in me. When you're going to be the last person I take on, I'll take you from now. I had about 7 fights. I'll take you to the top, and then we can retire together. And that, being a young boxer, the 2-time world trainer of the year, telling you that you're going to be his last charge, I was like, wow. And I was with my friend, and we flew back to. And in my head, I was doing it. I was like, yep, this is the way it's going to be. I'm going to come home. I'm going to tell my wife, to my mum, that I'm moving to America. And in the airport, my friend was with me, and I was so dead set on doing it that he had like $500 left. So rather than going to foreign exchange and changing it back into pounds and paying commission, I said, let me buy your dollars from you in English pounds, British pounds, because I'm coming back here. I came back, spoke to my team, spoke to my then trainer, and I let my then trainer kind of coerce me into staying. And Virgil said to me, if you go back, I don't think you're gonna come back. I said, no, I will. I definitely will. And I went back, and he was right. I didn't. It was a tough decision. And I literally, like, 2 fights. The next fight, I'd done my shoulder out for a year. I had 3 fights back and done my eye. So it was a nightmare. I mean, who's like, nobody can see into the future, and nobody knows that I could have stayed in America. And my very first spar, done my shoulder out for a year. And then very first fight, done my eye, and I could have regretted going there. You just don't know what's going to happen. But
yeah,
I wish I would have taken that step and trained with him, because I would have finally got a coach that my talent and my professionalism deserved. I never had that. I had a great coach in the UK, but I was an afterthought.
How come you didn't go back in the end? Because obviously Virgil's like one of the sort of genius boxing minds, and for him to show that belief in you, that I know you've got in yourself as well. But what made you not go back in the end? Just
I trained. I can't say who because I'll get in trouble, because I've done this podcast before and said it.
Yeah.
But we had to cancel it because I would have got in trouble. And but I trained with a coach in the UK who is like unbelievably good, unbelievably good. And I maintain to this day in the gym, probably nobody's better, possibly in the world. But he just couldn't give me the time that I needed. It would have taken me to become a world champion. And he kept saying to me that, oh, I will. If you do this, I'll give it time. If you do this, I'll give it time. I kept doing my end of the bargain, and the time wasn't coming. But I probably wrongly had too much belief in this person, because I felt like maybe some of my earlier achievements was like I probably put too much of that. I probably, you know, every boxer is good because they get trained well by their coaches. I think I'd put too much of that faith in him and less on myself. I felt kind of indebted to him, really. So yeah, so a bit frustrated, really. So, but that's the only reason why. And this coach is fantastic. He's an unbelievable coach. It's just that I didn't have this set up. What I like about American sports, I always say that like professional boxing in England and Britain, which as a whole really, is so unprofessional. Like on the GB squad, that whole setup is way more professional than any professional boxing setup. It just is. It's the way it is. It's a dinosaur sport. You know,
Yeah.
Most pro boxers do training what their coaches did 20 years before, and they do it because they're 20 years. Whereas every other sport in the world has like sports science, and they bring in only recently, like doing weights in boxing. It's like, oh, you can't do it because
Yeah.
you'll get big, you'll get slow, you get. And now it's like actually done weights correctly. It can aid him. You can be stronger. You get less injuries. Punch harder. Now, who doesn't want to punch harder and get less injuries? But it's an old school sport. I wish, like hindsight, it's a wonderful thing. I think if I got another crack at it, and when I retired, actually, I hurt my eye. I started training with a bloke called Barry O'Connell in Hammersmith, State of Mind Fitness. And Barry is the most underrated. He'll be. I genuinely believe if a young, up and coming, hungry boxer put their belief in Barry like I did the last 2 years of my career, he'll take him to the top because he's so good. And rather than being an afterthought for the really experienced coach I had before, I wish I'd have met Barry before my eye got bad. Because I hurt my eye in 2016, didn't retire until 2019. So for 3 years, I carried on training every day, like I was training for the world title. Because I always thought I was going to get back and fight. I trained with Barry, and we had a great rapport. Tremendous coach. I learned so much in those two and a half years. Unfortunately, I couldn't put it into practice on fight night, which is a shame because he would, even to the point where, like, naturally, I'm left-handed. I'm a southpaw, naturally. When I first walked in the gym as a 12-year-old, they said to me, box the back with this. And I started boxing southpaw. Not that I didn't know what to do. And they just switched me. Because apparently most kids that are right-handed want to start punching with their right hand. And he just presumed I was right-handed, switched me. That's how you box. And it wasn't until I won like my second junior ABA title, I used my left hand to sign the paper. And my coach went, "What are you doing?" And I went, my second schoolboy title, sorry. You went, "What are you doing?" I went, "I'm writing my name." He said, "With your left hand?" I went, "Yeah, I'm left-handed." I went, "Fuck, you should have been a southpaw." Oh, brilliant. I had no idea. If I'd have been a southpaw, I think it'd be even better. But point I'm making is Barry was the only coach I ever had that encouraged me to box southpaw. So we'd do whole training sessions just southpaw. And I was a better southpaw because naturally I'm a southpaw. And unfortunately didn't get the chance to show people that I had these strings to my bow.
That's nuts, that is. So just think of the level you got to, the highest level possible, and that was all through in the wrong stance, technically then.
Much, yeah.
That's mad. You mentioned walking into the gym. How did that come about? Like, what was your childhood like, and what led you to think, I'm going to give boxing a go?
I am so bad at so many things, and I don't want to come across as arrogant because I'm really not. I'm confident, but I'm not arrogant. I'm so bad at so many things, right? But as a kid, I was good at two things. I was good at sport, like any sport I did, I was good at, and I was good at school. I was quite clever, which I liked because I was really competitive. I wanted to be the best person at maths, science, English. And I was good at it. And then, madly, I was good. Don't know why I was good. I didn't do any homework, but I was just in the top. So I was just good. Anyway, so as a kid, I was good at sport, right? And I swam to a national level just because we went to Butlins when I was a kid. I was about 4 or 5. And I just dove in the water. My mum had, 5 of us, me and 4 sisters. I'm a single parent. My mum had like eyes everywhere to make sure we were okay. There's me running around just being a lunatic. And she went to me, "If you're going to do this, you've got to learn to swim." So I started swimming, and I was good at swimming, and I competed to a really high level. I played football to a good level. So when I stopped playing football, I was playing for Norwich Academy. I was captain of Suffolk, county. I was a good footballer. And then I started boxing when I was 12. And long story short, at school in year 7, probably the same for yourself. Lunchtime football was life.
Yeah.
It was like the only thing that mattered. And then we were playing, and then in the semi-final, I was through to the final. Adam and Aaron, 2 of my best mates, were in the semi-final. Adam, big, cool kid. All the girls fancied him. Good-looking lad. Good at football. Aaron was small, scrawny, a bit of a nerd. He used to play. he used to play football with his backpack on. So everyone else takes their bags off and play. He's running around with his backpack on.
It's like resistance training or something. Try and get better.
Yeah, I think it's because he didn't trust anybody. Because he's a bit of a nerd, who could pick on him. So we played football. Adam took a shot. Boom. Come off Aaron's knee. Flew into the top corner. It was Aaron's goal. He's made it through to the final. Adam got the ump. Adam was pissed off. Aaron's celebrating. Adam goes over to him and shoves him. It was flying across this tarmac astroturf. Aaron went, "Don't do that. That's not very nice." He did it again. Boom. Second time, his bag opened. And I remember that his birthday party was coming up. And all the invites came out over the scaffold floor. So he got up, took his bag off, walked up to Adam. Everyone's going, fight. Adam big, Aaron small. Everyone thinks Adam's going to win. 20 seconds later, Aaron, bam, 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 bam. Adam, the big one, he's on the floor crying his eyes out. He's just been filled in by Aaron. And everyone's going, Aaron, cheering Aaron. I said to him, "How'd you learn to do that?" He goes, I go boxing club. I had no idea. There was a boxing club in town. I said, "Well, can I go? I want to learn that." He went, "Yeah." And that's a Wednesday. He said, "You can come tonight. It's a beginner session. I train with the advanced guys now. I've been going for a few months." I was like, "Okay, cool, but I don't want to go by myself." So I went over to Adam. The bell goes. Everyone walks in. I got Adam went, "Aaron only won because he goes boxing club. We should go tonight, get really good, and fight him again tomorrow." He went, I don't know. He's still crying. I don't know. I was like, "Oh, I said, if you win, all the girls are going to fancy you again." He went, "Yeah?" I went, "Yeah." He went, "All right then." So I ran home, got my bicycle, picked him up, gave him a seater, biked down to the shop, walked into a shop, and I bought a gum shield for like 50p, an orange gum shield. And I didn't even know that you had to mold a gum shield. I just got it, put them out, went to the gym, I went, on the box. And I walked in and I fell in love. From the very second, I fell in love. And the smell, the atmosphere, the environment, the people, the fact that rather than normally if you fight, you get told off. Now if you fight, if you punch people, you're getting commended. It's like, yeah, well done, you get pat on the back. I'm thinking, this is the best thing ever. Like, where's this been all my life? And then I boxed and I dropped swimming pretty much straight away. And I was football and boxing quite a lot. And it got to the point where I was missing matches because I had England training, like England camps, Crystal Palace. And then it got to the point where I thought, I just want to box now. And I just boxed. And I'm pretty sure I had the right decision because, I was good at football, but I probably wasn't going to become Cristiano Ronaldo, and boxing, it gave me a great career and a great life.
What about boxing though? Was you a natural when you walked in there? Or do you still remember sort of clumsily walking in and then being shown and then just?
Yeah, no, I was like to the point where I learned there's 2 clubs in my little town where I'm from. There's 2 clubs, and they thought I'd been to the other club because I could do things. I could skip, never skipped before. I thought skipping was for girls. I could skip the way I was punching the bag. And just yesterday, I won't show it, but just yesterday, a friend of mine who's affiliated to a boxing club sent me my first ever fight because I don't know how much we're going to talk later, but I'm getting a documentary made about me, about my career in boxing and retiring and the eye stuff and my next chapter. So I'm trying to get archive loads of footage. And I haven't seen that fight before, ever before. And I've been training for about 3 months. I was quite popular in my little town. And then we had a home show coming up. So I trained for a number of weeks. They got me carded, and I've boxed like 3 months after starting training. I knocked the kid out in the second round. I stopped him. So I picked things up real quick. I was said there's a million things I can't do, but luckily for me, sport has been something that I've been good at.
Yeah, that's interesting as well with the way you got into it with with your friends and with fighting. That just sums up just sums up like year 7 for me. That does as well. Football, girls, fighting.
Football and fights.
Yeah. But you went to Texas as well, didn't you, when you was younger? Because I was having a look through your amateur career as well.
Yeah.
Before I I don't know how old you would have been then, but you would have been
15.
junior, wouldn't you? 15. And you went to
Yeah.
Texas. What was that experience like? Because
unbelievable. I'd never been on a plane before. I never traveled, never left England before. Went to Texas, Brownsville, Texas, for the Junior Olympics. The team in the squad, just a couple of the names in the squad: me, George Groves, Lou Campbell, George Groves, world champ, Lou Campbell, Olympic champion, and myself. It was Miles Shinkwin, was decent boxer, pro level. Good lads. Chris Higgs, Danny Kent was there. Good team. Chris Riley, he was a good pro. Real good squad. And we went to there, and I won the gold medal, and I won the most outstanding boxer of the tournament award, which was unbelievable. Because at this point, I trained twice a week. I was 15 because the boxing gym was open twice a week. And I played football the other days, and play football on a Sunday. And if I got some sparring on a Sunday, I'd play football, get my bicycle, bike to a gym, and get sparring after football with muddy knees and shin pads on still. So yeah, at the time I boxed twice a week, and I'd just gone to America and won the Junior Olympics and I got a medal. And I was on the plane flying back on the plane, and the captain of the plane congratulated the boxing team and a special well done from me and Lou Campbell for winning gold medals, right? And I'm flying back, I'm thinking, fucking hell, like I'm just a little scallywag from a small town in England, like what I'm getting, like, and everyone gave me a massive round of applause, and I got the train, flew to London, got the train back to Lowestoft, and at the station, everyone was there, like big banners and stuff. I'm thinking, this is great. I'm getting applauded for beating people up. This is brilliant. And then I went to school, and I was late. And it was Monday for jet lag. I've been in America for 3 weeks. I was late for school. We had a big school assembly Monday morning. And I walked in, I was a little bit late, all like my eyes were all like small and like sleep dusty. And I walked in, and Mr. Beckham went, Anthony Ogogo. Because normally I was in trouble. I was clever at school, but I was a pain in the ass. So I was that dickhead at school that could do all the work and get an A, but like fuck around at the back. So
they're the worst kind. My mate used to be like that. Everyone fell out with him the one time because he fell asleep in class. Woke up, took the test, got the best test, and went out. And everyone was like,
mate, right. So this is a massive scoop. This is bad. My mum's gonna give me a slap for this. I got drunk once. I got drunk. Me and Adam Ricks got drunk at school. We got drunk. We got pissed at lunchtime. His parents had gone away, and me and Ricky went to his house for lunchtime and got pissed up. We were like 16. I came to school pissed, stinking of alcohol. I'm sitting in science at the back of the class, drunk, 16 years old, answering all the questions, getting them all right. And my mate Shady, fuck me, pissed me off. He had to take me to the toilet because I was going to be sick. And he went to me, mate, just calm down. Like, you're going to get yourself in trouble. And then we had like science and RE in the afternoon. It's a bit of a DOS afternoon. And he went to me, I'm annoyed the fact that you come to school pissed, you're still smarter than me. Like, and I'm trying really hard. So yeah, I don't condone drinking at lunchtime. I don't do that. Kid.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that for everyone. Seriously.
Yeah, I did. I remember I'm making that like Stephen Hawkins. I'm not Stephen Hawkins, but I remember I had to work hard for maths. I got an A in maths and GCSE, and we did it 6 months early because they wanted the whole. We had a quite clever maths class, and they wanted them all to do. So we did our exams in November because the second half of the year they wanted all the guys doing maths to take further maths at A level, and we were going to start that course for whilst in year 11 still. I didn't, because I knew that wasn't my kind of path in life. But I remember I had to really work hard for maths. Like maths didn't come easy to me. I had to really I was quite good at English, quite good at science, but maths for some reason I had to really kind of study to get a good grade. But when you're competitive, like with myself, I didn't want to. When I was younger, I wanted to be the cleverest in the class. And when I got a little bit older, I was just competitive with myself, and that goes through sport, boxing, school. I always want to be better, and I didn't want to. If I got a B, I'd be pissed off with myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've always been really competitive with myself, and I think that's the best person to compete against. As soon as you start comparing, I learned this the hard way. I learned this because I'm sure we'll talk later about the Olympics, but I was bitter and jealous for a while because I look at people like Josh. I like Josh really. I'm not digging him out. And Campbell, one of my best mates, in boxing. I saw that those guys got gold medals in London. And I was like, how have they, like Nicola Adams and even Fred Evans got silver? I'm thinking, how come they've got better medals than me? Like I train harder than them. I'm better than them. Or I deserve it more than them. I maintain that nobody in the Olympics, not the boxing team, not like just every sport in every country, had a qualification process quite like mine. The injuries, my mum falling ill just before, thinking I was never going to see her again. Like sneaking out of the village in the early hours of the morning to get to my car at Wanstead, driving up to Addenbrooke's in Cambridge where my mum was hospital, never thought I was going to see her again, holding her hand till 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, getting back in my car, driving back down to Wanstead, parking my car there, waiting for the tubes to like running again at 5 in the morning, get a tube and creep back into the Olympic Village, get back into bed before the coaches woke up. Like that's what I was doing in the Olympic Games. Like 2 times during the boxing, 1 time after I got beaten in the semi-final. The worry of thinking I'm never going to see my mum again, plus having a dislocated shoulder, a broken rib, tears in my Achilles tendons. Like I maintain that any of those other guys had my luck, they wouldn't have got a medal. And I did. And I was just annoyed that they got gold and I didn't get gold because I wanted the gold medal. And I was bitter for a while. And I learned the hard way that, and I'll take nothing away from those guys. I respect Campbell, Joshua, Fred Evans, Nicola Adams, all those guys. But it still annoys me that I didn't get what I should have got, what I deserved to get, when that was my one dream in life was Olympics. I wasn't fussed about turning pro. I wanted the gold medal in the Olympics. But I learned the hard way that when you compare your life to other people, like there's no you can't do that. It's just that's the recipe for unhappiness.
That's exactly what I was going to say as well, is you can't be happy when you're comparing to other people, but I completely get that as well, because you must have set your sights out. Like we just talked about Texas and sort of coming up, and you must have suddenly had a moment there where you realised I can do this at the top level.
Yeah.
And then,
so I was just going to say on that point, and I'll sorry for butting in. So on the plane coming back, the captain said to me and Campbell, "Well done." And I sat there and then I thought, I could do this. Like up until that point, I was 15. Up until that point, I boxed, so I enjoyed it, and that's fun, and I enjoyed doing it. But I thought, if I train twice a week now and I win Junior Olympics, the best boxing tournament award, fuck, if I really like give this my all, I could actually do this as a job, as a life, as a thingy. And yeah, so that was the moment I thought, I'm going to give this my all now. Like this is me. So.
Yeah, I can imagine then from, getting gold in Texas with the likes of, with Luke Campbell doing it as well. And you just mentioned the team you had such a good team at those Olympics, but you must be putting the Olympics like up here thinking, that's my goal, and imagining it and dreaming, I don't know, really feeling what that's going to be like. And then it just couldn't have been anything like it, because obviously your mum was taken ill, you had all these injuries. Are you not proud of yourself now? Because I think with boxing as well, is people who don't know the sport, it's did you win, did you lose, did you get gold, did you get silver, bronze? But it's usually there's a lot more of a backstory, isn't there, to boxing? And you had one of the craziest times all the way through, especially in the Olympics as well.
Yeah, do you know, it's taken me a long time to be proud of it. Like I could not, up until a year ago, I could not tell you where my medal was. Like who had it is in the boot of my car for a month. I had him. So I wasn't proud of it because I should have been the gold, and it took me a long time. It took me a long time, like best part of 8 years, to realize that like what I did under the circumstances is still amazing. It's like it sounds really cheesy, and I know it's not, and I'm very hard on myself anyway. But it's kind of like a gold medal, just going there, like just going to Olympics. Like because I didn't train for 4 weeks. Mum was taken ill, and so 6 weeks before my first fight, and I didn't train for a month. Didn't do a press up, didn't do a sit up. I sat by a bedside every day in the hospital, and then my sisters kind of guilt tripped me. They said, "Look, Mum's going to get better," and none of us thought she was really, but said Mum's going to get better. And when she gets better, she's going to feel awful knowing that you didn't do the games because of her. And I had a choice to make. Do I stay here? And she would. Like, my mum, thankfully, is made recovery. She's still alive there, and I'm so proud of it. And amazing. And should have never forgiven herself, but I didn't, because she knew how much it meant for me. So I'm a massive mummy's boy, and up until that point, 23 years old, I was still at home, and I was on the squad. So Monday to Friday, Sheffield, back for a weekend, and then every Monday I'd come down, I'd do my one, I'd come back, have a shower, and my bags was packed for me, and my bandages were wrapped up for me, and I had a little packed lunch box I could have on the road when I was driving up, mum, everything for me. And so I was a massive mummy's boy.
What did she go to the hospital for? Because
she had a brain aneurysm. She had a really bad bleed in the brain. It should have killed her like that. Like, it's a miracle that she's here still. And that's, doctors say that. Like, doctors that are scientists who don't like saying the word miracle because they like to think it's them. It's like, so they believe in science. They said to her, the bleeder she had in her brain should have killed her like that. And then when, after a few months, when they said, look, after a few weeks, they said, look, she might survive this, but if she does survive this, just know that she's not going to be your mum anymore. She's going to be in a vegetative state. And then she kept like improving and improving and improving and improving. And then, yeah, she made an amazing recovery. And my mum, so she had to learn to walk again, learn to talk again. Then I was there and she had to write her name. And she held it to they give her, pick the pen up, and she picked it up. It's quite funny. She picked it up like it was a knife. Like she was going to stab somebody. And she wrote her name like that. And that was so funny, but like proud funny, because she should have been dead like months before. And now she's writing her name. It wasn't
that's real warrior spirit, isn't it? When you see someone having to come back like that, that's
100%. And what I was going to say was, so within a year later, and this is my mum, but within a year later, she's gone from having to walk again, learning to walk again, to within a year, she climbed up Ben Nevis, which is like the biggest mountain in the UK, for charity. So massive inspiration for me, and very difficult time. But yeah, like you said, mate, like I dreamt of the Olympic Games since my first memory in my entire life. I was 3.5 years old, watching Linford Christie win the gold medal in 1992, and there, the flag behind his head. My first memory in life. I was 3, and I wanted to do that. And I watched every Olympics, everything. I watched every sport, every Commonwealth Games. I just loved sport, and I wanted to be there one day. And I finally got there one day, and I thought, and I sat there. So my mum, as I said earlier, I didn't train for 4 weeks, and my sisters kind of guilt tripped me into doing the Olympics. I went to Sheffield. We had 1 week of training left before going to London, and on the day I arrived, I think it was Tuesday, we had a family and friends day, and basically it meant all the guys that qualified could invite their family and friends and watch them. So I had nobody there because they're obviously with my mum in the hospital and that stuff. I spotted Fred Evans. Fred, really, really good fighter, a right-handed southpaw, so opposite to me, really, left-handed orthodox. And he had all his family and friends around the ring, and they're travellers, so they were like around the ring, go on, Fred, like it was the Olympic final. And I hadn't thrown a punch for a month, and my phone was in my pocket because I was on my mum's next of kin. So if they call up for an emergency, I had to answer it. The first punch I throw, a sloppy jab, Fred tips out, boom, body shot to me and breaks my rib with the first punch. And still to this day, it didn't go back into place, it's dislocated. Oh, the pain. And I got through the spar somehow. And then I sat there and I was sweating my tits off. And I sweat a lot when I train. And the sweat was covering up my tears, so I was crying. My shoulders going up and down. And my shoulder was, so I just like the year before I dislocated my shoulder, I had to rush to rehab to get back. That was still dislocated. They didn't repair it properly. It came out again in a fight in 2015 when I turned pro. Shoulders buggered, had a broken rib, tears in my Achilles tendons that would later keep me out for 2 years. Again, when I turned pro, I was out for 2 years, my Achilles. And worst of all, I thought, my mum's going to die. Never going to see her again. And this was my Olympics. And I thought, shouldn't be like that, you know? So the athlete in me, the elite athlete in me that only wants gold all the time, still is bitterly disappointed that I didn't get the gold because I should have got the gold. But the man in me was like, fucking hell, after all that I was going through, like just having the strength of character to leave the hospital and go to Olympics, like, that's a win right there.
Yeah.
And then getting the draw that I did, always get the tough draw, always got to have the extra fight. So Olympics opening ceremony was on a Friday night. I didn't go, so I boxed Saturday morning. So the first fight, it's just nightmare, mate, nightmare. But dude, like, you know, I think you learn a lot. You learn a lot about yourself in times of struggle, and I learned a lot about myself in that big struggle.
Was it ever in doubt, like when your rib went? Did you not? You said you were crying there. Did you not just sit and think your shoulder, your rib, and your mum's in hospital? Did you just think, I'm done, I'm not doing it?
I was crying because I just didn't want to be there. I wanted to be with my family. I didn't cry because it wasn't the pain and the rib was what was making me cry. By that point, mate, like, this is kind of like conversely, it's weird because I was so just spent, and I got beaten in the semi-final by a Brazilian. He was the worst person I fought. The Dominican, Ukrainian, and German, and all beating him that Olympic year. Like, he was the worst person I fought. But by the time I got to semi-final, I just had nothing left. The Ukrainian, I've never, and I don't expect ever to be hit as hard as I got hit by that Ukrainian. He hit me so hard that I blocked the punch. I blocked it. He punched my forearm, and it still made my legs wobble. That's how hard he hit me, right? And hit me clean as well. And I took all his shots. Stood up to every single punch. And then the Brazilian could not punch for toffee, nowhere near as much as the Ukrainian. He hit me down the pipe, and I've gone down. Just because I had nothing left. Like, my resistance was gone. I had nothing left. I had no energy, mental, physical. I was just gone, you know.
No wonder as well. Like, we talk about your shoulder had gone, your rib, and then your mum was in hospital. And then just to add to it all, you got Drew against the number one, who I think a lot of people were probably expecting him to win there.
Everyone. Everyone.
Well, I think it was carve, wasn't it? And he, like you say, is a very powerful boxer as well as technically good. And you beat him as well. Was that the first fight at the Olympics?
No, I boxed the Dominican the Saturday.
Oh, that was it, yeah.
And he, that's what I mean. Like, people forget I boxed him. He was like the Brazilian that I lost to, but better, but stronger, but punched harder, just as elusive, just as awkward on the back foot southpaw fighter. Good. And that pissed me off. I turned pro and I overheard, or somebody said something about me. I won't say who it was because I've never spoken to this person about it, and it pissed me off. Someone said, what do you reckon to Ogogo? And an esteemed British coach went, nah, he's not going to make it. He's got no chin. So I got dropped in the Olympic semi-final. And people make assessments of what they see. And I guess that's all they can do, right? I mean, you have no fucking idea what I was going through at that time. Like, you had no idea. Like, a fit me beats every single person in the Olympic Games. Every single person. A fit me, they had a training camp, like they had a training camp, no injuries. I beat them all. And that's why I was bitter I didn't get the gold medal. And for somebody to say, for a top coach to say, oh, he was not going to make it because he hasn't got a good chin, you fucking prick, mate.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's a chance, and someone said, why don't you go and train with him, do like a little camp with him, like before I picked a pro coach. But I ain't training with him now. Like, I'm not even going to go there and prove him wrong. Fuck him. But, mate, but, you know.
I think you proved your quality there. Like we said, we've beaten the number one and the fights that you did have there. Did it bring a lot of more attention? Because you seem to be like the face of GB by that point anyway. Like, you would see you on adverts and different sponsorships. Did that just sort of catapult from there as well to get the bronze and get a load of opportunities? I know you were signed by Golden Boy, and there's a lot of discussion at this time that everyone wanted to get the Olympians because you had a good team, like we already mentioned. AJ was in there as well. And I thought when I looked at it after, you and AJ were like not just technically good but marketable as well. So were there a lot of opportunities that came along with that?
Yeah, I met all the promoters. I met them all. I didn't know Ricky Hatton. He was doing the promotional thing at the time. Didn't come off in the end. I met Warren. I met Eddie Hearn. He wound me up. Eddie did. I met Eddie in my office in the sports agency office. I'm with Wasserman. We were in Soho Square at the time. I was really happy about like meeting Eddie because he had Matchroom, he had Sky, so he was probably gonna be like the favourite. And I met him, and he just bungled the whole thing. I was there, young man, had this Olympic story that I'd just been through, and really keen to put the disappointment of the Olympics behind me, and win a world title. To win a world title, to put that to bed, put the Olympics to bed. And the bitterness and sorrow around it all. Mum was kind of getting better and better. So I was ready to kind of start focusing. And he spent the whole meeting talking about Joshua and how much he wanted to sign Joshua. I'm thinking, are you fucking taking the piss?
Was that a tactic? Do you think that was a tactic?
He just wanted to sign Joshua. He just saw. Like, listen, and I'm looking. He's gone on and done really well. So I'm not saying, and I've gone on, my career's over now. I'm not saying it was just, no, that's pissed me off. That's like common courtesy. I'm a fucking professional. I'm an Olympic medalist myself. I've got this like amazing story I've been through. And talking about fucking Joshua in my meeting. I'm like, nah, fuck him. I don't want to go with him. Like, it wound me up to that much. But I don't want to go with him. It really, really annoyed me. So, and also, but the main reason was because the offer was really low as well. A really low offer, financially. But the main reason why I went with Golden Boy is because like I fell in love with Richard Schaefer and his vision and what he wanted to do. And basically what he wanted to do with Golden Boy is do what Matchroom are doing now or before the pandemic. Like Matchroom have now got like Matchroom USA. 8 years ago, Schaefer wanted Golden Boy UK. He wanted to have a small team. You're looking at me, George Groves, he met Luke Campbell, a small team. And so BT Sport wasn't even a thing back then, but BT Sport was obviously becoming a thing. He knew it. He was talking to different people. And the plan was for us to be on BT Sport, to rival Sky and Matchroom, and the Golden Boy UK to have BT Sport lined up. And I was going to be basically the face of that. And he showed me all the emails and the proof. It was there. It was going to happen. And I signed with Richard, and but also I boxed in the US, and the fight with Canelo. Like Canelo at the time was like 10 stone, like low welter, but he was like this fight, we'll do this fight in 4 or 5 years time. Huge fight, you versus Canelo, world title. Like that was something I was always gearing towards. That was always in the back of our minds, and they were going to build him over in the US as they have done. Build me in the UK, me fighting not the odd show over there. Like I fought Amara's undercard. Find certain Canelo undercards, and then it would have been perfect, And then unfortunately, this is sums my career up. I signed with Golden Boy because of Schaefer. I met Oscar and we emailed, and really nice guy, but Schaefer was the visionary of doing the Golden Boy UK thing. Met Schaefer within 6 months. I signed with Golden Boy. Had a couple of fights, nice start. Within 6 months, Schaefer and Oscar had a massive row. I don't even know what about. Oscar sacked him. Oscar fired him. And now I'm with Golden Boy. And Oscar doesn't want to do the UK thing because it wasn't his thing. He was like, and Oscar was great. Golden Boy were great with me. They were really, I commended. They were fantastic with me. Oscar went, move to the US, then we'll build you up over here. I was like, but I don't want to, like the plan was to build me up here. I'm just in the Olympics in London. I'm a big name in the UK. I want to stay here. We've got no interest in doing the UK thing. So I was like I was a footballer, been signed by a manager gets sacked, new guy comes in, doesn't fancy him. That's pretty much my situation. I was like, fucking hell. And then I thought, you know what, something will happen. I'll just keep working hard, keep training, keep fighting. So I was boxing on, so Golden Boy and Matchroom did a thing where they'd let me fight. So I'd fight on a Matchroom show. Which is cool. It was a nice opportunity to fight a Matchroom show, but I wasn't a Matchroom fighter. So I never got the star treatment that Joshua or Campbell got because they were Eddie's fighters. So they got the star treatment. And I understand that. It's a bit like, wasn't. And it's kind of like everything that could have went wrong, like Murphy's Law, like anything that could go wrong did go wrong in my pro career. And it was just really frustrating. And again, like you asked me at the beginning of this conversation, and I mentioned about the eye surgeons. It was like I did everything right. I mean, if any man on the earth had the offers that I had, everyone is going to lean towards the Golden Boy one because it just sounded exciting and it was big and it was sexy and there's more money than the other ones as well, which I'm not going to lie. The one that came close to that was the Matchroom offer in terms of like viability, but in the offer, I got a really shit feeling. Like I got made to feel like he doesn't want to be here talking to me. He wants to sign Joshua. Yeah. And I was like, and that made me feel rubbish. And I was like, so that's off the table. Ricky Hatton didn't have any TV networks at the time. And although he was talking to people, he never got them, so it wasn't really going to be a thing. Frank Warren could have been a thing. I think Frank Warren's probably maintained the best promoter in boxing. He gets his boxers the right fights at the right time, moves them along at their own slow pace, which was cool. But Box Nation was a thing. It wasn't really, didn't have many subscribers at the time. Wasn't really, and I wanted to be like Catspot from the Olympic success I had and become like a mainstream star. And BT Sport, which would have given me that. So I chose Golden Boy because it was the right move. And unfortunately, I couldn't foresee Oscar and Richard falling out. And even anyway, in spite of that, I was out with my Achilles for a long time because on the Great Britain squad, I was told that the Achilles wasn't a thing. Keep training. And annoyingly, had I rested my Achilles back in 2010 when they started getting sore for 4 to 6 weeks, there wouldn't have been a thing. I had a massive build-up of inflammation in my Achilles, in both sides, in my Achilles tendons. And inflammation, if you look at it as a thing, it's like a sticky substance. It's sticky. And what it did, it stuck my Achilles and the plantaris tendon, which is a thing that's in my leg, together and just fucked the whole thing up. And I kept on training. They wouldn't settle. They were getting worse and worse. And as I said, I ended up having 4 surgeries on my Achilles to get rid of them. Whereas 6 weeks rest 4 years before, I'd have been okay. But on the Great Britain squad, I mean, you're there to win medals, and they make you box all the time. And being a young, hungry boxer wanting to go to Olympic qualifiers, you say yes, never say no. You say yes. They just go worse and worse, and frustrating, really.
It's completely different to the pro boxing as well, isn't it? Where you might have 2 or 3 fights a year if you're lucky. Where amateurs, they're trying to get you out every other week, or when you do fight, you have the tournaments over like the Olympics where it's 3 or 4 days. If you're winning, you're fighting each day, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I remember that Golden Boy promotion as well when they started coming over to the UK, and it was exciting as a boxing fan to see what they were going to do with it. So I see why you would go for that, and it was given a bit of a challenge towards Matchroom and Frank Warren, which is much needed in the sport.
Yeah, exactly. And they had Amir Khan was like the premier athlete, and Amir Khan was 2012 to 13, still in the prime of his career, really. Big name in the UK, probably at your time the biggest name in British boxing. They had Amir Khan. They wanted to have me take on from Amir Khan. Really, they wanted George Grove. They met him, made him an offer. I know that, and a couple of guys. So it would have been a really cool little elite little stable. It would have been really good, but it didn't come off, unfortunately.
I remember you went into your debut fight as well, and that got a lot of sort of attention at the time. And it couldn't have gone much better, could it? I remember, I think it was a 1-2, and then you just feinted that jab and just overhand right against someone. Was it Kieran Gray? And
Kieran Gray, yeah.
He's a journeyman, but he's a tough journeyman, and he's fought some good boxers. Never got him out of there like that.
No.
How did that feel on the pro debut?
Yeah, man, you know, I often say this. So my pro career peaked on night 1. It went all downhill after that, and I had no idea.
Did you have did you have the Achilles injury literally for that fight pretty much, and it carried on?
Yeah. So the Achilles, anybody listening to this had Achilles pain, proper Achilles pain, but they know what I'm talking about. It's so hard to describe if you've never had it because it's so weird. I couldn't walk in the morning, and anybody listening to this would go, "Yeah, I got it." Normally it's one side, so you can kind of hobble on the other leg. Mine is both sides. I'd get out of bed in the morning, right, and I'm going to do it because I'm a grown man and I look weird, but I'd shimmy on my bum to the toilet. I'd shimmy on my bum. I couldn't walk. The pain was that bad. And a couple of things, a couple of reasons why I got them done in the end. So I was just persevering throughout my whole early stage of my career. 2010, this was in the Commonwealth Games. I was in training for the Commonwealth Games in Sheffield, and they started getting sore. And had I just rested from Commonwealth, which was the end of October, to January, I'd have been okay. But they made me go to 2 more competitions, and they just got worse, and then there wasn't time to rest. But essentially, yeah, so my Achilles, I fought sparring Carl Foch, and Foch could bang, and I sparred Carl all the time. He could really whack Carl. He was heavy-handed, and he was a good fighter, Carl. Sparring Carl in Sheffield, but if we did 12 rounds, I'd win the first 6, he'd win the last 6 because my speed and movement. And then it got to round 7 or 8 where he comes on strong, and I was still adapting to a bit longer to the more rounds. And then my Achilles was so sore. And it was a Thursday night, towards the end of the training week. They got worse as the training week went on. I had the weekend off. And then he's coming at me. And I thought, normally I'd move my feet and move and tie him up. I thought, I'm just going to take some shots now because moving hurt too much on my Achilles. So I tucked up, right? Just tucked up. And he went boom, 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 a big uppercut. And he caught me square on the nose, and my nose went, fucking hell. I mean, like, I took that shot because my Achilles, not because he earned the shot. I give him the shot because I didn't move my feet, because my Achilles was so sore. And then I went for Wayne Reed, July 2014. And Wayne Reed was a good fighter. And then same thing. I'm boxing now on Sky, and I'm boxing. I stopped him in the fifth. It's like round 4, I think. And I was boxing him, and he's come at me with like a loop and right hook. And normally I'd limp back and hit him. But my Achilles was so sore, I thought, I'm just going to take this one. So I blocked it, and I thought he was going to hit me here. We looped it long, come around the back of the ear, and my knee did like a little dip. Fuck's sake. And I was a bit embarrassed because he didn't wobble me, but he hit me hard enough for me to need to go down. And I'm thinking, I'm now getting hit. And I stopped him with the next round because I was embarrassed. But I think I'm now getting hit on fight night against lads that, if that was Canelo, I'm down. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I thought, I can't just get through fights. So it took me that fight. And then that was in the summer. Then I went to go see my family, and they live on the beach in Lowestoft. And I took my nephews down to the seafront, and they were on the sand. I said to them, and they were like, he's 8 now, so it would have been 3. They're both 3. And then they were on the sea, on the sand. And I was talking to my nieces, and my mum went, they're too close to the water. And I was like, oh, boys, come back. And then they didn't hear me because it was windy. I've had to run to catch up to my nephew so I didn't get like swept away by the water. And the pain was so bad that like they were outrunning me, 3-year-olds. And I had to kind of really shout to probably I scared them for them to stop. And then they started crying because I was shouting so loud. But the pain was so bad I couldn't even catch up my 3-year-old nephews on sand. And as that I thought, I'm going to get my kiddies done now. And unfortunately, I was out for a year. My first fight back, boom. I dislocated my shoulder. Fight the whole fight with one arm. Put my shoulder back in the socket in round 2, using my knee. Wiggle it back in the socket. I was out for 10 months. I came back, 3 fights, 3 knockouts. I'm finding my groove again. I do my eye. Never box again. So proper rubbish, really.
Yeah, and you just mentioned about your eye as well. And was that your last fight that happened?
Yes.
And so had you had any pain in that eye beforehand, or was it literally?
It wasn't a pain thing. It wasn't a permission. If it was a pain thing, I can deal with pain.
Yeah.
Pain's not a thing. It was the fact that I can't see out the eye, and I'm getting hit with shots I can't see. I had some issues in my eye before that fight, and I went to Moorfields, the best hospital in the world for eyes, got some assessments done, and they advised me to carry on boxing because, in their own words, your eyes aren't going to get any worse. So I had a fracture in my eye socket. And I can't talk too much, so I'll get in trouble, as I said, but I had a fracture in my eye socket, and they told me that the fracture, it's an old fracture. Like any bone, like bones heal, so it's not going to get any worse because it's an old fracture. I went, oh, fantastic. I had a bit of issues at that point then, but I could get by. Like I was sparring people like John Ryder, who went on to fight for the world title, really good boxer.
Yeah.
I was handling him easy in sparring.
Yeah.
So I was able to get boxing. I was able to get by, to a top level. Like it was only an issue if I looked in a particular direction, but I could box without doing that. There was only an issue then when I got really low and rolled and went low and looked up really high. So when I looked up really high, I got a bit double vision. But if it stayed like that, it'd have been fine. And then, and they said to me, it's not going to get any worse. It's a fracture, it's an old fracture, and the fracture is healed now. And that wasn't an old fracture. It was a brand new fracture. The doctor had misread something off the scan, thinking that something was there 2 years ago. Because as a boxer, you get a brain scan done every year to make sure your brain's okay. And a doctor had seen something from an earlier brain scan, which is an MRI scan, which don't show fractures very well. CT scan, CAT scans, they show fractures. If somebody's seen an MRI scan, thought there was a fracture there, likened it to the fracture I had at this point. Said, I must have been there for 2 years. Because it's been there for 2 years, it's now healed, won't get any worse. Carry on boxing. And as a boxer, I got the authority by a top consultant, carry on boxing. So I'm not going to go, somebody like me with my mentality, I'm not going to go, no. You know, if I'm giving you okay, you're not going to get any worse. Your eye is no more likely to fracture again than the other one or anybody's eye. The bone is healed. When bone's healed, it's healed. Perfect. So I boxed. After the fight, I had 8 fractures in my eye socket. My eye socket went, exploded. The eye was damaged because the eye socket protects the eyeball and all the stuff around it. And because it was shattered, wasn't protecting it. So my eye's getting whacked and my eye's getting damaged and more damage and more damage. And it wasn't an old fracture. It was a brand new fracture. I never should have been anywhere near a boxing ring at that time. And I was fucked, and I could never get back. So
do you remember what round that happened? Because
so it wasn't even a punch either. And the thing is, like looking back now, it was getting worse in my sparring. So I got my test done like 4 weeks before the fight. Something wasn't quite right, and I wanted to know what. I didn't know what it was. So something a bit iffy when I rolled and looked up high. And when I was told that it was not going to get any worse, I thought, carry on training. Trained for 3 weeks. I was sparring Danny Dignam. I was sparring John Ryder. And looking back now, the vision was actually getting worse over the course of the weeks. But when you're boxing, you've got to fight. You don't think like the Olympics, my bad rib. I wasn't thinking, oh, my rib's so sore. I was like, what, fucking, I've got to fight. Any pain, you just deal with it, you know? And I wasn't aware it was getting better. I probably was really, but I was so focused on the fight. So I wasn't aware it was getting worse. I was so focused on the fight, I was just thinking about the fight. And it was getting worse in those 3 weeks before my fight. And in round 1, we come together. We come together, and we're Southpaw and Orthodox, and we've kind of tripped on each other's leg, which happens all the time against those guys. And kind of forearmed me in the eye. And the forearm did it. And I've looked away, and I've just gone, what the fuck? I couldn't see any. In my left eye I saw a man, and he was twisted, like he was, like, rather than being upright. So I had double vision. My right eye was okay. Right eye could see fine. I could see him. But the left eye, he was twisted, like a 45-degree angle, and up in the air. And he's like, I'm getting punched by a man and because eyes work together, the good eye, I couldn't even just do boxing with one eye because the good eye was actually down here. So eyes work. If one eye is up, if one eye goes up, the brain computer otherwise go down. It's weird. It's all backwards. Doesn't make sense really. But
so I never knew that, because I was just about to ask as well if you maybe tried to, because you looked like you were trying to figure it out in there, and I weren't sure if you're trying to cover the eye with your guard, but obviously you can't.
I was trying, because that's the thing. Like someone, you've got 2 eyes for a reason. One's bugged. You've got the other one. But I didn't. The right eye in my head, he was down. He was in the floor. He was like, his eyes were like, if one eye is held on a boy wall, if one eye is I fractured my eye socket, the floor of my eye socket, the orbital floor. So I was dropped. So when your eye is dropped and if your eye is lower, your brain reverses it. It projects an image which is higher. So if my eyes like headlights in a car, for example, if one headlight is down and I was up, the light is obviously going to go down. But the way your brain sees it, it's coming up. So the right eye, because they weren't working together, the right eye was going up. So really, I'm boxing the man who's below me. So I'm looking straight and nobody's there. He's in the floor. I'm getting hit by a man who's in, with one eye, I'm getting hit by a man who's in the floor. With 2 eyes, I'm getting hit by a man who's in the floor. But the other one is up here, like really up high, and he's twisted. So it's just, you said, you saw me work, I couldn't work it out. And I remember 2 things from that fight, 2 things. So, and I was covering my eye because I didn't know I was getting hit until I was getting hit. I couldn't see. So I'm boxing, I'm getting hit by an invisible man, essentially. So I was covering it, and my arm was really, really tense. So 2 things I remember. I could hear him breathing. I could hear him, so he must be near me. So I threw a big punch. I thought I was going to KO him, and I missed by 6 feet. He was way away. I almost did a full pirouette. Another bit in the fight, I remember, so I was covering my eye because I didn't know when I was getting hit until I was getting hit. Arm was so stiff and tense, with loads of lactic acid in my arm. So I backed away and backed away and backed away because I had no idea where he was in space. There was 2 of them, one up here, one on here. And when eyes don't work together, you lose depth perception. So I thought in my head, I'm thinking he's 6 feet away. He's much further. I can't hear him breathing. He's far away. So I backed up and backed up. I shook my arms down to relax my arms, and he's gone whack straight down the pipe. Because in reality, I thought he was over there, but really he was right in front of me. And as mate, nightmare, absolute nightmare. But yeah, something I wouldn't like. I've fought my entire life. I love fighting. I love boxing. From 12 years old when I walked in, I love every aspect about it. I love the fighting. I love hitting people. I don't mind getting hit back. So I love doing it. When in big fights, I love the show business. I love the cameras. I love the lights. I love the ring girls. I love everything. I love the roar of the crowd. Everything about it. And that night was the worst night of my life. I hated everything about it because I was getting hit by a man who's trained to fight, who's bloody good, and I didn't know when I was getting hit until I was getting hit. And in reality, like, if everything's okay, I'd have knocked him out in 3 rounds. I'd beaten well better guys than him, and I should have won the WC International belt. Then I would have went on, and then I would have fought Canelo within a year for the world middleweight title. Minimum purse, $5 million, minimum purse. And what me and Schaefer spoke about 4 years before would have come to fruition within a year. But unfortunately, it didn't, and I went really wrong. And shit, mate. I don't know. It's tough to talk about because it's still so real, and it's my life. Do you know what I mean? It's just hard, but
yeah, I mean, it's no time really, is it? As well, it's still going to be raw, and you dedicated your life to it. And I do want to talk about what you're dedicating your life to now. But just to finish off on sort of the retirement and stuff, you mentioned money there, but did you suffer financially because you wouldn't have
massively.
got to what you were projected to do? You had it, laid out, but I'm sure at that point when that happened, to all them operations and things like that as well.
Mate, I spent £100,000 on operations. On 4 operations. I had 9 operations. The first one here was private. I had private health insurance, and then I had so many operations. It went so much money. I couldn't afford it anymore. So I had 9 So the other 4 here were all NHS. I had 4 in America. The operations alone, came to 100 grand. So every penny I'd ever, and I was always very sensible. I don't buy myself flashy things. I was always of the mindset that when I become a world champ, now I can treat myself. Now I've earned it. Didn't go on flashy holidays. Didn't have a flashy car. Oh, I had a nice car, but it wasn't a flashy car. And then so I saved my money quite good. And then so I spent 100 grand on just operations. That's not flying over to America. This is not consultations. That's not taking into consideration all the other things that kind of comes into it. And someone says you're 100 grand high, you must have loads in the bank. That was everything I ever earned in boxing. Everything I earned, all my sponsorship deals and stuff I had, I lived on that. I pay my house, pay my mortgage, pay council tax bills, food and stuff. My boxing money, that's my hard-earned money. That's my money. I'm going to buy myself an Aston Martin with that. I'm going to buy myself a big house with that. My hard-earned money, like sponsorship money, like can't easy come easy go, because although you get it because what you do in the ring, it's like I don't know, you could pay like $3 grand to go to a sign-in. It's like that's easy. It's enjoyable. It's not really work. It's enjoyable. So I live on that. But my boxing is my money. Put that in a little pot. And then that was all gone. And then I had an operation. I had to spend all that money on operations. And then I ran out of money. Didn't even have all that money. I then, for one operation, I had a Range Rover. That's one thing I bought myself, which was like smart. Like, I've earned that. I came back from one of my surgeries and I worked so hard to get back. Like, you wouldn't believe. And my wife was like, you work so hard, just treat yourself. Because at the time had a piece of shit car. I can't think it was. It was a rubbish car.
Yeah.
Like something She went, treat yourself. You deserve it. You work so hard. Like, you deserve it more than anybody I know. And I thought, yeah, I do. So I went to a Range Rover, and then I had that for 18 months, and then I had to sell that because I had to put money for surgeries. Then I had to remortgage our house. I took 50 grand out of the house. I needed 50 grand for an operation. that didn't even
Yeah.
work, all because I got misdiagnosed at the beginning, and that it's nightmare, proper nightmare. But do you know what I mean? Although I don't think about the money because I get too pissed off if I do, but
Yeah.
in reality, I had to do it because I like the great thing. What I'm most proud of about the whole eye stuff for me is, I mentioned earlier, I train every day with Barry O'Connell in Hammersmith, State of Mind Fitness. Um, my diet was bang on point. I could have easily been like, I don't know when I'm going to fight again. I'm going to eat loads of food or smoke weed or do drugs. Didn't do nothing like that. I was so professional, and like I could never fight again because if I could have fought again, I would have found it. And there's a little
Yeah.
story that of this is my dedication. So there's this procedure on your eye called the Harado Ito procedure, and it's named after a Japanese ophthalmologist, eye doctor. And I thought that I might need that because, again, as a boxer, you've got no medical team, you've got no doctor, you've got to do it all yourself. And I was researching this surgery, and like I just couldn't sleep at night because I was so like just on it. I was so just on it that I started reading like uh, journals, like medical journals in Japanese, because they don't do the surgery over here in the Western world. It's a Far East thing. They do a lot in Japan and Korea, and it's such a Japanese thing that I was able. I learned Japanese to a degree just by reading so many reports. I'd go on a report, I'd copy and paste it, Google Translate, and read the thing, right? And I could look at back in 2017. I could look at a title of a paper and know what it meant if it's for me. So I had the superior oblique muscle in my eye was damaged and irreparably damaged. Couldn't do anything about it, and I needed a surgery to kind of counteract what that was doing. So I could read a paper and go, that's the inferior oblique, that's the wrong paper. That's the superior rectus, the wrong paper. Different muscles in your eye. So I could look at a paper and go, yeah, that's the one, and then I'd copy and paste it. So I was able to.
That's
I was that
insane.
studious. That's yeah, fucking nuts. But can't think question you asked me. Sorry, mate. I've gone off on a tangent.
No worries.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's insane though, to think that, like you was even looking at Japanese papers and stuff. You obviously, you can take a lot from the fact that you did everything you could in your power.
Yeah.
Can't you? That, by the sounds of it, with 7 operations, was it 7 or 9
Nine.
operations? 9
Nine.
operations
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, that's nuts. Was it hard to separate yourself from, obviously, all this time you've been a boxer and, like an elite, and everyone would recognize you for that? Was it hard to rid of that identity, or, because that's your life, isn't it? Did you sort of slope into a depression and things like that?
Yeah.
How did
Yeah.
you?
So I struggled, man. It's really difficult. We'll do this again, and I'll go more into that when
Yeah,
my documentary comes out. I don't want to start saying things about the documentary because
yeah,
it's like, what's going to get documentary made about you then? But yeah, struggle, man. Really hard, like really hard. Like, because I was worried about money, so I had to sell my car. I had no money. I was getting
yeah,
the bus. I had to get the bus to an appointment because I couldn't afford a car, and my wife, I couldn't use her car because she was at work. Like, worried about money, worried about so many things. Yeah, we struggled like mentally in a real difficult place. Like, and the thing with other injuries in the eye injury, like when I had my Achilles, right, I couldn't do anything for months because both my Achilles were operation on. So I took my mattress down, took my pillow and my duvet down to the sofa, and I was there for weeks. Watch telly, and then when you're watching telly, watching like football, like you don't feel your Achilles pain because your feet are up. Only notice it when you're walking around and go to the toilet, you're hobbling around, and it's sore. When you're chilling watching football, you can't feel anything.
yeah,
Same with your shoulder, But when it's your eyes, like I was forever looking. Every second you're awake, you're looking at your eyes, and when something's wrong with it, it's in your head all the time. There's no switch off. Like my eyes were fucked, and like my eyes weren't working together. Left eye was so bad, and I couldn't switch off from my eyes not being on. So I couldn't switch off from the. It wasn't even pain. It was just couldn't switch off from the injury. It was always there in the forefront of my mind. and it was horrible. And I became obsessed. I had a really unhealthy obsession with my eyes and boxing, and it was horrible. I couldn't switch off from it. So yeah, it kind of messed me up a little bit.
It might sound like a bit of a shit question, but was there any sort of relief in a way? Not obviously, it's not what you wanted,
No.
but you went through so much. Was there not a part of you to think, I've done everything I can, and now you need to move on? Like I say, it's not a great question because it was never what you wanted. But was there any relief?
That's a good question. My agent Duncan, who's one of my best mates, he said to me, like, "Do you feel relieved at all? Do you feel relieved at all?" No, I just feel so much sad. I still couldn't get my head around it because I did everything right. I did a visualization. I did everything, and I thought to the point when I retired, I had 7 operations. I had 2 more. I thought I've retired now, and then I did some more research. There's 2 more things I could work. I thought maybe maybe my eyelid, because I had an injection in my eye which went badly wrong and damaged my nerve, like you just couldn't believe. And my eyelid was droopy on my eye, and my eye was too low still. And I thought, had some appointments, some doctors, and thought maybe the pressure, just the sheer pressure of my droopy eyelid on my eye is pushing my eye down because the eyes weren't level. So maybe if I lift the eyelid up, maybe the weight help lift the eyeball up a little bit and help it see better and maybe get that singular vision that I'm so desperate for. Now, that was just a thing in my head. I thought, maybe, would that work? Saw some consultants, and they were like, mate, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Everything that I've gone through has never happened to anybody else in the world before. So there's no protocol. It was like, okay, so let's try this. So I had 2 further surgeries after I even retired to try to hope to get me back, hoping that now the pressure's off, so I've announced my retirement, it might just work. And I genuinely still believed each one was going to work, and it didn't. So there was no relief whatsoever. It was just still shit. And I still, look at boxing and think, how are you fighting? And this annoyed me. So going back to what you shouldn't do, you shouldn't compare your life to other people's. I watched a fight not too long ago. I can't think who it was. And they both beat the hell out of each other. And their faces were a mess, like an absolute mess. Both swollen, could barely see their eyes. And I thought, I guarantee, and it's true, I guarantee when their swelling goes down, their vision will be perfect and I'll get back to boxing. And both guys have boxed since. Whereas mine, I hurt my eye. Like, one of the reasons why it was difficult to identify was because I didn't have a black eye. There was nothing. Normally when you fracture your eye socket, it's really bad. When I did mine before the fight, I didn't get a black eye. I didn't get nothing. I got punched in the eye, and it's a bit like that. But a lot of punches make your eye kind of go like that. It wasn't until 6 weeks later that my eye started changing. That's because this fracture opened up and starting to heal, and the scar tissue got caught in it, and it was dragging my eye down. So it was just such a freak accident, a freak punch. And it was just frustrating the fact that I didn't get hit that much in my career. Prior to my last fight when I was incapacitated, I could probably count on 2 hands the times I got hit in all my fights combined. In 11 fights, I probably got hit, a proper hit, maybe 10 times, maybe less than that. I didn't get hit that much. All in sparring, didn't get hit a lot. And then you get some guys box all the time, get their faces smashed in, and then don't suffer fractured eye sockets. It's weird, but I guess that's just one of those things where, like, it's shit to say and it's cheesy as anything, but I guess it just wasn't meant to be. It wasn't, because if it was meant to be, it would have been. And it wasn't meant to be. So I can take comfort from the fact that I tried everything. It wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like you did as well. You used all that competitiveness to put into, try and save your career. But you're now in the AEW, which you wanted to talk about a little bit before you go. Mm-hmm. But how's that? How are you finding that? Because you're in the US now, aren't you? And
yes, mate. Yeah, I kind of come back and forth. It's difficult during the pandemic because prior to the pandemic, I was just popping back and forwards a drop of a hat. It's not too far. It's like 6-hour flight, not too far. Now it's a bit. I am coming back and forward still. It's a bit difficult when I can't come back because of the pandemic. I've got a kind of like quarantine and places and stuff. It's a bit more of a ball ache, but it's going really well. It's been nice for me because when I retired, I'd been a boxer my entire life, and as I told you, on that plane, 15 years old, I always knew that I was going to do something in the sport because I was good at sport. But on the plane back from the Junior Olympics, I thought it's going to be boxing. I know it's going to be boxing, and I will have this career because most people that are good and work hard achieve all the things they want. You rarely see people. Like, it's very uncommon for any athlete to retire so young. And it does happen, of course, it happens. But most footballers, have their full career. It's not like back in the 70s where a bad cruciate injury, that's you done. It's 21st century, so there's usually a surgery for each problem. So I thought I was going to have the career I was going to have, earn all the money in the world, tick every box, achieve all the dreams I've ever had. Wasn't meant to be. And I thought, what else do I like? I've been so absorbed by boxing. What else do I like? And genuinely, hand on my heart, I've always been a massive fan of wrestling. And I thought that was just, I don't know, I never thought I was going to do it. I've always just really enjoyed it. And then, and it was the only thing, it was for me when I was talking boxing, it was one or two things. It was either wrestling or politics, because I've always been really keen on politics. And I thought,
okay, I didn't expect that to go from with sport and then into politics. Then I was thinking wrestling but what's funny is that all these things are like some of the hardest things you could go for. Like to go from boxing, you think, okay, there's no harder sport, and then it pops up. Anthony Ogogo's like doing wrestling. Mate, I'm like, flipping out. That's probably the only sport where it's harder.
Do you know what? I wouldn't know if it's harder or not, but it's definitely as hard. Like, and it's so hard. Like, I've chosen the two most physically demanding like careers. It's so hard. Like, people think, oh, wrestling this, that, the other. Mate, like, so physically, from a physical standpoint, I'm 100 kilos. I'm 16 stone, right? I'm pretty small in wrestling. They're all huge. They're all massive. We've got a guy here, Lance Archer, 6'9", a monster, an absolute monster. We've got a guy called Miro, used to be in WWE, a freak, man. I was chatting to him this morning, and like he could bench press me 50 times, no problem. Not even, he's huge. So getting thrown around by those big guys hurt. Getting clotheslines, like wrestling is so real. Getting clotheslined by a big shot, so whip you against the ropes. You hit the ropes hard because you're getting thrown off by somebody. You've got no choice but to go hard. The ropes are cable to the point where I trained. We're filming this now on a Monday. Yeah. Monday today.
Yeah.
Monday.
Tuesday.
Yeah, I think it's Monday.
we're both
Tuesday.
We're both
Tuesday.
I'm still on Monday.
So on Saturday, I trained on Saturday, and I was running the ropes, hitting the ropes. You run back like the rock to the people's elbow.
Yeah, my favourite one.
Yeah, hit the ropes, right? Hitting the ropes. So maybe hit the ropes, warm up 20 times, right? Bloody hell. I've got a welt on my right hip because the ropes are cable. It's still cable. They're not ropes, it's still cable. With rubber, not rubber, like plastic around them. And you run the cable and they're really taut because the tighter the ropes, the more springy you get, more cool things you can do off the ropes. And 20 times, man, my back is killing me. And that's hitting the ropes. And then you hit the rope, you get thrown into the ropes, big strong guy, boom, clothesline. It's a clothesline, a big chunky muscly arm hitting you around the chest neck area, boom. So the ropes hurt, the line hurts. You hit the floor, boom, that hurts. You've got to tuck your chin, otherwise you can cuss yourself whacking it on the floor. Everything hurts. And that's a simple move. A clothesline is that's the first move you learn. Mate. And then on top of that, I've been away from my home, England, for a long time. I live in Atlanta when I'm here. I've been away from there for 10 days. I've got another 6 days left. Always on the road, always in hotel rooms, always. And that's just difficult because, whether you're at home or in your own, like my home away from home, you can have a bath, you can have a shower, you can clean your teeth, you can have a shave, you can do simple things. But when you're always on the road, you can go to the gym and train. You got to find a gym. I've now got to do a thing with Team GB tomorrow. So it's now 1:30, and I've got to get an Uber. I've got no car, to find a sports shop, to buy an Adidas t-shirt. It's like, it's small things. It's just a ball ache, and I've got to train. So it's in the ring. It's hard. It's a difficult lifestyle to have. But on the flip side, like boxing is very, very hard. It's very rewarding as well, and that's why people do it.
Yeah, because like you say there, with moving around, that wrestling is all about that as well, isn't it? With the tours that they do and things like that. And as you say, I think watching it, because I used to like it when I was a bit younger, and then now my mate's mad on it, and he tells me about it, and I was like, didn't realise how many injuries and how intense it is, because it really is, isn't it? Like you look at Mick Foley and Jericho and people like that, they've had some bad injuries. But how do you cope with that? Like, have you got a few sort of regimes that you do to sort of prevent injuries and stuff? Or
so essentially, that's the main reason why you get big in wrestling. Yes, to look good on camera, because it's nice to look good when you're in your pants, when you're in your little tight trunks. It's nice to look good because you're on TV for the whole world to see. But the main reason, in honesty, is when you're getting thrown around, you need muscle to absorb the impact. It hurts. You need muscle to, like, the more muscle you are, like, you got your bones, you got your organs and stuff. Like, if you've got a nice, big, strong back, you get slammed to the floor, that's going to hurt a little bit less than if you've got no back and you're landing right on your ribs. So the stronger you are, the more. But ultimately, what I was going to say about wrestling is, now, taking me out of the equation, so I was very unlucky with injuries, but in boxing. But most boxers, you're going to get the same injuries. You're going to probably break your hand, a black eye, maybe a broken nose, maybe a dodgy shoulder if you throw a punch and miss. That's pretty much it. If you're really unlucky, you might break your jaw, but that's pretty much it. Like, you know what you're going to get. In wrestling, bloody hell, anything can happen. Yeah. Anything. Like, you can break anything. You can, something as simple as breaking your finger. Something as bad as breaking your back and being paralyzed. Something getting punched in the face and breaking your cheek, your face bone. There's this thing where you do you sleep or a drop down. Send them off, drop down on the floor, then they go over you, then you leapfrog them. So it's called a sleep, drop down. And when you drop down, you have your hands flat, not like that, because you want to do that to jump up quicker. But have your hands flat. If you do that, and then one of you, and they kick your elbow, that's a broken wrist and a dislocated elbow. So when you run the ropes, I mentioned earlier, you got to grab the top rope with your right hand, because they say at some point in your career, and I've seen this happen once already, I've been doing it for a few months, at some point in your career, a rope is going to snap, or it's not going to be connected properly, and it's going to fall through. If you hold on to it, if it falls through, you hold on to the rope. You're not going to die. If you don't hold on to it and that goes, you're going to the ring is about 5 feet. The bottom of the ring comes about my chest. It's quite high. Then if you're 6 foot, you're 11 foot in the air. If the top rope goes and you fall from 11 feet down onto your head and you kill yourself. So everything in wrestling is like, do this. If not, you will be paralyzed. So there's a lot of danger. Whereas in boxing, the dangers, you know what you're going to get into. In wrestling, anything can go wrong, unfortunately. So I
was completely unaware of it until I started speaking to my friend and reading some of the books about some of the injuries that have happened. Obviously, like we've talked about the similarities with the training and how hard the sport is. Also, like the marketing in a way is similar, isn't it? And you've been brilliant at that all the way through boxing with the stuff you've done with Big Brother and Strictly Come Dancing, and you just got yourself out there and you seem to enjoy it. Are you enjoying that bit of wrestling now, like with the crowd and the buzz?
Yeah, I never got to enjoy, because my boxing career, I've done a few things differently. I am more of a personality than I showed in my boxing career. Now, I'm not outlandish. I'm not a thug. I'm not going to go and say like wild things, but I am more just personable than what I showed. For example, I was signed by Nike and Subway and Maxi Muscle in my boxing career. And because I was injured quite a lot, unfortunately, I wasn't getting paid through boxing because I was injured. I was getting paid for my partners from Nike and stuff. They were paying my mortgage. I couldn't live without them. So I couldn't really afford to go out and be too controversial because I needed them to live. And there people like Conor McGregor, perfect example. He was so good in the ring, so in the cage, so good fighting that he doesn't need sponsorship deals. He can just he can just do and be and say what he wants because he's doing it in the ring. I was not always injured. I wasn't able to do that, so I had to kind of like appease my partners by being like a nice guy. And I am a nice guy, but I'd had more fun with like my fight. I didn't want to go out and call someone a dirty little prick if I'm going to fight him because Nike's not going to like that. No. Whereas if I was doing it in the ring, knocking guys out, no, you got more. You can say what you want because you're doing it in the ring. You know, I know I was never really there because I was always so injured. Whereas like the whole showman's, I'm more of a showman than I showed in my boxing career.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I will. I'm sure I'll be able to kind of get that side out of me in wrestling more because it is more, it's half sport, half entertainment, in my opinion. So I'm able to kind of, showcase those abilities more than I was able to in boxing. So, and had I had the career I should have had, then I would have been a bit more flamboyant because I am that way naturally. I wouldn't have been such a corporate kind of guy, you know. I wouldn't have been so like, you know.
Well, I think it was obvious that you're a personality in the sport and even in the pro sport as well for whilst you was fighting and the things that you did. What's the goal now then? Like, obviously you've got the AEW and I didn't know until recently that you could have trialed for WWE as well. So is now your aim to stay with AEW because they're growing quick, aren't they? And
so I thought of this analogy. I was trying to think of an analogy to to summarise for British people what AEW is or what we are. Because someone said to me, "Oh, do you hope to do well there and go to WWE?" Like, no. Like I went. They were great with me. WWE. They threw me out. I had a tryout. They paid for me to fly to Orlando. Had a tryout. Really enjoyed it. They offered me a contract. AEW also did. And I chose AEW because I spoke to Cody Rhodes, who's like one of the top guys, and Tony Khan, who was the owner. He also owns Fulham. He owns the Jacksonville Jaguars over here. He's a top bloke, a real nice guy. I spoke to them. I saw their vision. I fell in love with the vision. WWE, I didn't love the vision. I didn't, whatever. So I am AEW. I'm here. I want to give my professional career to AEW for as long as I'm a wrestler for. I want to do it here with them. And what AEW is, are you a darts fan? Do you like darts?
Not really, no. I play. I'm rubbish, right? But that's about it.
But so basically, the history of darts. When you think of darts, I presume you think of Phil the Power Taylor.
Yeah.
And Sky, Christmas time, New Year's Day, the World Championships. Yes, that's darts.
Yeah.
So back in the day, darts was like, and obviously, and you've heard that's the PDC, and I've heard of the BDO darts.
Yeah,
so BDO, they're on BBC in January, and like if you watch PDC darts and Sky, everyone's there dressed up, having a great time, having a brilliant night out. That's PDC. Phil the Power Taylor, all that lot. So back in the day, the BDO was the only darts organisation in the world, and they were great. And then, well, they weren't so great. People started leaving there because they were so stuck in their ways and they were so like archaic. And a little group of guys left the BDO and went, let's come and let's do our new darts organisation, the PDC, the Professional Darts Corporation, I think it's called. And they got on Sky. And they've grown and grown and grown. And now they're huge. Like they're way bigger and better than the BDO. Because when you think of darts, you think of Phil the Power Taylor, Raymond van Barneveld, all those guys, because that is what darts is. So I think we're quite similar, really. AEW, WWE, they've been around for 50, 60, 70 years, and they're really established and a really big organisation. We're a brand new organisation, been around for 1 year. We've got Cody Rhodes, we've got Chris Jericho, we've got Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, we've got some big stars, loads of young, upcoming guys. So in 10 years' time, hopefully people will say MJF, one of the guys, best wrestler in the world, Jungle Boy, Anthony Ogogo. Like in 10 years' time, will be PDC, hopefully as big, if not bigger, than this lot. So we're a brand new organisation. We're on ITV4 in the UK on a Friday night. I think it's on ITV1 on a Tuesday night, like a highlight show. And yeah, we're doing really well. Everyone's great. And I'll say, we're not in competition with these guys. These guys are doing their thing, been there for a long time. I'm sure they'll be around for a long time yet to come. But we're just focusing on what we're doing. And we had a pay-per-view on Saturday night called Full Gear. And it was by far the best pay-per-view of the year across the whole world in wrestling. It was great. So, yeah, so my goal here now is to stay here for, say, 5-10 years. However long I want to be a wrestler for AEW, give it my all, hopefully become a big star, and hopefully like emulate The Rock. And after wrestling, when I'm done, say late 30s, early 40s, after that, I'd have been a professional athlete for almost 25 years. And I'd have boxed for 18 years, done this for 5-10 years. That's 20 odd years. I'd have been an athlete, getting my head punched in or body beaten up. At that point, I'll do a new career. And I think I want to have 3 careers in my life. The boxing career that's gone as done. It's been amazing. Given me a great opportunity. I want this. I've still got some things athletically that I want to achieve and tick off that I didn't do in boxing, and that's what this will give me. And then after that, when my body starts creaking a bit more than it does now, I want to do another career, be it politics, be it film and TV, be it TV presenting. I'm not quite sure what that one is yet, but that's my long-term goal.
That's awesome. And like you say, The Rock sort of paved the way as well, showing what opportunities are there. And like I said earlier in the podcast, I followed your career. And then when I saw you say that you were taking up wrestling, I just thought it's brilliant, because I know it's just nice to see. It's nice to see you overcome that, and you've got your new sort of goal as well.
Thank you.
Well, before finishing off, just one last thing I wanted to ask you is what advice you'd give people to sort of overcome these things. I saw you put something on your Twitter, I think it was, just giving a bit of advice about getting outdoors and sort of for your mental state.
Yeah.
And I think you're a good person for that, because how you have overcome a lot of these challenges and what you're doing now. What advice would you give?
Yeah, I think I'll give 2 bits of advice, right? I'll answer your question first. I think that tweet, somebody asked me that I think they're struggling at the moment, and what advice can I give? And I said, I was very lucky. I've got an amazing wife. She's a beautiful girl, but she loves me and supports me. And so be around positive people. She if I sulk and whinge, she'll kick my ass. Enough of that. You've sulked for too long. And she's dead right. So being around, I've got an amazing family. And mom loves me, and sisters are fantastic. I've got gorgeous little nephews and nieces. So be around positive people. There's nothing worse than being a rain cloud, and it's not cool. So be around nice people positive people to help you kind of out of that slump. Yeah, exercise, get outside, outdoors, train. I was depressed when I retired from boxing, so I took up essentially weightlifting. I wanted to do something positive, and I thought, I want to see if I can get to 100 kilos. I was about 92 at the time. And I trained hard and I ate well, and I started seeing gains. It's always nice when you achieve something. You feel good. You get a little shot of dopamine, of course, for your body. So set goals, little goals, small goals, set goals, and achieve them. You feel good. So it makes sense to what feels good, do more of it. I make a list of things to do today, and 2 times today in this podcast, my alarm's gone off because I said, ring this person, email that person, do this, do that. And I make a list each day. And I've done it already. And when I did it, I was like, I've done that. And I feel good. That's a little shot of dopamine. So it could be running the marathon once a year. It could be sending an email to somebody. But a little goal, when you accomplish it, you feel good about yourself. That's my first thing. My second thing, and it's not really, it's the main bit of advice I'd give people throughout my career. And I mentioned it earlier, tongue in cheek. But my pro boxing career, the best night was night 1, my debut. And that should never be the case. It should be a good night, debut, but you should go on and win British and European and Commonwealth and world titles. I thought that was going to be the best night of my career. And it wasn't. And a little story around that debut, I fought 3 weeks later in America. And my debut, my team organised like a night out. We went to this bar. They hired this kind of area of the club. And I didn't want to go because I was so focused on boxing. I wanted to go and box, back to the hotel, go to bed, wake up and train. Well, I didn't want to go out and celebrate and drink. I didn't want to. And my wife was like, you can't not. You've got hundreds of people who come from Lowestoft to come and support you, a 4-hour bus journey. Have a drink with them. You haven't got a drink, but just be out with them. And I didn't want to. And we had an argument about it. We had a bit of a row. And in the end, I went begrudgingly. Didn't want to be there. And I faced like a slapped ass. And it was just rubbish. I didn't want to be there, right? And I said to her, I said, when I'm world champ, when I win something, that's when I'll celebrate. But right now, I want to thingy. I want to go back to bed. Anyway, so I went there, showed my face, shook hands, went back to bed, and went to bed. And we had a good night, but it wasn't the night it should have been. So I was so focused on the next thing. I never won the title as a pro. And when it all ended, and one punch ended. And I thought, you know, I should have enjoyed that moment more. Even though at the time I thought it was only going to be a small moment, I should have enjoyed it more. Because you never know when it can be over. Whether you're a footballer, one tackle, you're done. You never play again. A boxer, one punch. So just the point I'm making is like enjoy the moments along the way, even the bad moments, even the shit runs you got to go and do. You don't want to go and run, the hard run. Enjoy it because one day it may get taken away from you. Hopefully it won't, but it might do, like me. And I guess it's the analogy I give is like people that climb Mount Everest, they get to the top and the view is rubbish. I've never done it, but from what people I've spoken to have done it, the view's rubbish. In the clouds, you can't see anything, and it's rubbish. People are so focused on climbing Mount Everest, and they get there, and they go, oh, is this it? When really the guys that get the best experience on Mount Everest, they climb a bit, they stop, they look around, they take it in, they absorb it, they breathe it in, then they go again. And they do that like 4 or 5 times periodically along the thingy, and then they get to the top. They go, oh, I've done it now. View's a bit rubbish up here, but at least I've got all those great memories on the way up. So you want to enjoy the climb as much as getting to the top of the mountain, you know, and I wish I'd have done that more. And I guess it's only until you haven't done it, they can really say, so basically just enjoy the big moments and the small moments as much as they are, because one day it might all get taken away from you.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, and I think we could all learn from that as well. Like you talked about sport or like Mount Everest, but yeah, that really does transfer into everything. I love that. Yeah, definitely, because we do often, you know, you don't enjoy the journey or the present moment. But yeah, thanks for coming on, Anthony. This has been awesome. I messaged you the other day. You got straight back to me, and you're here. I've really enjoyed it. So. Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot for this.
Cheers, mate. And I wish you all the very best with the podcast, mate. No doubt in a few years' time, this will be the next Joe Rogan. So
yeah,
remember definitely. Me, mate, when you're all big time, okay?
And same to you. Cheers, mate. Thanks, Anthony.